chapter clicked in to College Volleyball Weekly on Viral Volley Media. Now here's your host, Rob on mic.
Good day, everyone, and welcome once again to College Volleyball Weekly Beach Top 20. We are in a week 2 recap and about to head into week 3, but on screen with me, or if you're just listening, Kylie Wickley of Texas, Sydney Miller of Hawaii. Beach Bows. I got to get used to that. Beach Bows. The Beach Bows, and I got in trouble for saying a particular name at Texas this last weekend that I will not repeat, but we'll just call them the Longhorns. So, Kylie, Sydney, hello. Good to see you guys.
Hi.
So, as always, wanted to start with what you guys have done this last week. And, you know, Sydney was on vacation on the Hawaiian Islands, so she's good. She's taken care of by the Hawaiian Tourism Authority and the Outrigger Resorts. So we'll go to Kylie, who is hanging in Austin, and I happen to be close at hand with Kylie. So shoot, Kylie, tell us what happened this weekend in Austin.
This past weekend we hosted our first our home opener and we went undefeated. So we are 9-0 and we're one of 3 teams in the top 20 that is undefeated. So yay.
How did you do this weekend, Kylie?
We split our games, but the rest of our team picked us up. So we're good.
But you had some really good performances across the board, particularly at the fives, is what I can gather. And that was Noah and Macy. Noah Sonneville and Macy Butler. I believe they went undefeated at the fives for you guys.
They lost to
Oh,
Tulane.
well, they look good when I was watching. So, 4-0 weekend. Is that how many teams are there? Yeah, 4 for Texas, and fortunately, I had to dip out of that last one against Texas A&M Corpus Christi that came down to the wire. So, what happened there, Kylie?
Where do I start with what happened there? I mean,
2-2, and it came down to the which court was it? I couldn't find the
it
story that
came down
quickly.
to our threes. Our threes are super solid. And I feel like all of our pairs were continuing to grow every week with like our partnerships and just like everything. And so I don't know, they kind of showed that and we're excited going into this next weekend too to keep growing.
Well, your threes are Maddie Parmelli and Corinne Zollner-Chakova, FAU transfer, and Parmelli is a beast. I love that she's so fiery on the court. I'm pretty sure she would knock a couple of heads off if people were not aware of how hard she's hitting. But she definitely delivered at the threes for the Longhorns. So let's jump over to Sydney. I know that you were off this week and you're recovering from your first weekend of the gauntlet of week 1, going 0-6. And the thing is, you're still in the top 20 because of the teams you're playing. Everyone was in the top 12.
Every time you say it, it shatters my heart a little bit more when you say the 0-6. I'm like, oh no, please don't say it out loud. Yeah, no, we had a nice off weekend. We got Saturday off, which was also nice. Usually we would probably play, but so we're feeling super refreshed and ready for this weekend. We're hosting again. So this is our last one down at Queens this season. Can you even believe it? It's only the 3rd week of season because we do senior night at Ching, our complex. So it's the last one at Queens.
Is that going to be streamed then if it's at that complex?
Yeah. If it's at the complex, they stream it.
That's going to be ESPN Plus then.
Yes. Remember when you saw me?
Yes, that's
I think
right.
who were we playing? We were playing. Who was it?
I was too busy just watching you, so I didn't know who you were
Oh,
playing.
that's so nice. Thank you, Rob. Maybe GCU? I don't remember. Those girls were good though. We went to 3 and we lost on the day
Is it
before.
Grand Canyon?
Maybe. I can't really remember. Maybe GCU to be honest.
Yeah. Did you get to look at any of the results this last week and as we begin our week 2
Of course.
discussion?
Yeah. I mean, Evan's a big results person, so he's like spamming our group chat all weekend of results and polls and films, like this live streams to watch. So in particular, I tend to keep up with a lot of the Big West teams a good amount. So I was super curious of how the Cal Poly and the Long Beach duel was gonna go, and all those duels and how Cal Poly was gonna perform against like UCLA and those teams. So, yep, I was keeping up for sure.
Well, pick one of the results there because I know that they were at the
Okay.
Battle of LA this
Yeah.
last weekend, and they were kind of spread at a couple sites between USC or Merle Norman Stadium, the LMU complex, and Mapes Beach at UCLA. So I know that a lot of Big West teams were at each of those sites.
Honestly, I was surprised that Cal Poly didn't give UCLA and LMU a tighter duel matchup. Like they both went 1-4. And I like not that Cal Poly can't still do amazing things this season, but I think they ended the season so strong last year that I was really expecting them to come out kind of guns a-blazing. And again, I like haven't seen it for my own two eyes. I just like I've been able to see the scores. So I was kind of surprised about that. I mean, they beat Long Beach 3-2, which I was kind of expecting, but maybe even for them to beat them more than 3-2. But yeah, I don't know. I'm super interested to see like how they progress throughout the season
Well,
because
Cal
I feel like
Poly, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I feel like this was kind of their first because they didn't play the first weekend, right?
Who's that?
Yeah, they were idle the
Yeah,
first
they
week.
like didn't play, and then the second weekend they didn't play like I can't remember exactly who they played, but I feel like this was their real like top of the lineup competition. So I was just interested to see how it went down.
Yeah. Did you have something to add on there, Kylie?
Not really. I feel like Sydney covered it.
Well, the one of the things that was interesting was looks like Coach Todd Rogers mixed up his lineup at the ones, Logan Walter with Izzy Martinez, and last year
They
that
were
was
at the ones? They
Hunter.
ended at the ones?
I'm sorry, they're at the twos, but they
Yeah.
mixed up the partners. That's what I meant.
Yes.
Yeah, Piper Furch and Aaron Inskeep were at the ones because in those two losses, the only point they got for UCLA against UCLA was Logan Walter and Izzy Martinez at the twos. And then against LMU is Piper, Furch, and Aaron Inskeep getting that lone point against the Bruins, or against the Lions. So, but it's still early on. That was their first weekend of competition. So,
Yeah.
never count a Todd Rogers coach team out. And I think you know that firsthand there, Sydney.
I'm not counting them out for sure. I just was surprised that it wasn't more close, but no, definitely not counting them out. Let's make that very clear.
How about you,
Uh,
Kylie? Pick on a result that caught your eye from this last week in week 2?
A few. Um, Cal State Bakersfield beating Georgia State is a big one. Georgia State last weekend had a really good weekend, and then this weekend,
But they kind of went flat, huh? Well,
yeah. I mean, Cal State Bakersfield's unranked, but I feel like they have some good pairs, and I feel like they've snuck some of those wins the past few years. So
they last year at the Big West Championship City, Cal State Bakersfield gave a couple teams a run for their money, but they just don't have the depth. They have
yeah,
the talent.
no,
Um,
for sure. Their ones and their twos are really good. I'm pretty sure that Alana and Jamie went to 3 with them. Like their ones pair was really good. Um, I can't I can't remember their names of who they played, but yeah, no, their top of the lineup is strong. They just, like you said, lack deepness.
so the that win over Georgia State was the highest in program history. So that's big history for a Big West team that's only a couple years old. So congratulations to Coach Andy Fullenwider of the Roadrunners of Cal State Bakersfield. Should make the Big West interesting this season. So good choice on there. One of the other upsets is the battle for Florida, FAU and FIU. I don't think there's any love lost between the two, from what I would understand. I never truly understand the rivalries beyond the UCLA, USC, and I guess Hawaii's is who, or is that not to be named on a public show like this?
No, I feel like it's actually I don't know, so I'm not gonna say. I don't know if it's supposed to be a secret. I feel like it's
does,
not, but
does
I don't know.
Texas have a rival yet? 2 years in the making, Kylie? Would that be TCU?
I guess TCU. We're I don't know. I feel like we don't have one yet, really.
Well, it was a interesting week nonetheless in the top 20. All the teams pretty much did what they were supposed to do, with the exception of the two upsets that we mentioned. But interestingly enough, teams still were moving around in the AVCA top 20. And what I thought was interesting is uh, Arizona State moved up one, Texas moved up one, which, we kind of expected that, still undefeated. FIU moved up one. Grand Canyon was one of the big movers of the week, I believe, according to what I've been checking out. Uh, let's see, they were up two. FIU is the biggest mover of the week at three. Arizona State, we mentioned, but dropping, although they went undefeated, LSU, they dropped a spot.
Hmm.
So, and then the big dropper of the week, Georgia State, falling three without loss to Cal State Bakersfield. But, I mean, realistically, do you as the athletes care about what the polls say? And let's go to you, Sydney.
This is
Uh,
a very controversial topic because I want to say yes a little, but also like not really, because like at the end of the day, you're playing like each game you're playing to like win that duel overall. Like I'm not like disappointed when I see the poll at the end of the week, but it's always like, huh, like okay. It's just so it's like hard to say yes or no. Like that's not really a straight answer for you, but
It's an answer nonetheless. How
yeah.
about you, Kylie? Thoughts on whether the polls matter or not?
I feel like they really start to matter in like 3 weeks because that's like you're heading into like Gulf Shores territory of like this kind of becoming more like teams. A lot of teams have already played each other. Like it's kind of more getting more solidified. I feel like right now a lot of teams haven't played each other or like seen those kinds of matchups. So it's kind of like, well, we're undefeated. We haven't played a ranked team yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a lot of stuff is gonna shift. Hopefully we stay undefeated, but like a lot of things are prone to kind of shift. So I think it's exciting definitely to be ranked and like being high up there, but I feel like it's not final, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Now, did you guys get a chance to look at some of the top performing athletes at each of the pairs? I mean, this last week, I mean, for instance, as I was going through, UCLA's ones of Maggie Boyd and Sally Perez are in the top 10. They have a loss, 9-1. They're, that one loss is what's keeping them out of the number one spot, because for the most part at the ones it's pretty competitive. And Perry Brennan and Natalie Miskowski at the twos are 8-2, and they're just inside the top 10 because so many other teams are seeing their top two pairs, basically having to compete pretty hard and taking some losses along the way. But what are your thoughts on what we're seeing at the ones and twos this year so far? I know it's only 2 weeks in, but it seems like to me there are a lot of really good battles going on at the ones and twos. It's not a given, whereas before your ones and twos where you're given points, I feel like at certain points. But what do you think, Kylie?
I think the ones are nuts, no matter what school you're playing. Like, whatever team it is, they are the best team for that school and they've earned that spot. And so you're going to be playing a team that knows how to win, knows how to side out, knows how to play defense, no matter what, like, the name says on the jersey. So I think that, like, there's I don't even know if there are any undefeated teams, like especially in the top 10 teams. Like everyone's kind of beating each other. Like Tanya and Danielle have
Yep.
lost. Everybody has a loss, and that just I feel like shows the depth of the ones, but also the rest of the roster too.
There is one. Alexis Durish and Audrey Koenig of Florida State are at 7-0 at the number 5 spot. And they're in the top 10. And outside of that is uh, Marketa Svozilova and Ashley Adams from FAO. They're 8-0, but they're ranked 12 or 13 off the top of my head this week. So, especially because you're saying in the top 10, but not a whole lot of people are going unscathed here in the first 2 weeks. But Sydney, let's get your thoughts on the ones and twos battling this season.
I kind of agree with Kylie. Like any team that you look at, their ones and most of the time their twos are going to be like the best of the best. They're going to know how to play volleyball. They're going to know how to put away a ball. They're going to know how to, strategize and defend. And I think it's kind of goes down more to like the mental side than the skill side, at least at the ones and twos, like kind of who wants it more and who is able to make less errors, because obviously both teams are so capable of winning a game. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at the top of the lineup. So yeah, I think it's kind of always a toss up of who's going to win at the ones and the twos, because I think you're never like, for example, at the fives and the fours, if you play lower ranked seeds, there's probably games that you're going to win easier than if you're playing a top 5 team. But like if you're at the ones, you're still going to have just as hard as a game, even if they're ranked 20th or below 20th, in my opinion. So
Yeah. Well, then you have we were just talking about Alexis Durish and Audrey Koenig at the ones. They're at 7-0. Florida State is undefeated on the season. And, looking at it, they had a pretty decent tournament. They hosted the Seminole Beach Bash with number 15, Georgia State, Cal State Bakersfield, Houston Christian, and Georgia State. They only dropped one dual point the entire time. And it was at the fours versus Georgia State. So you're getting a sense, although they're a young team, they're also doing it deeper in the lineup. And I know that's one of the things we were talking about is what are your guys' thoughts on the 3s through 5s and the roles they can play this year? And let's go back. Well, Sydney's shaking her head. So let's go ahead and throw it her way first.
My hot take, like literally ever since I've been playing, is that
And you played the 3s, right, Sydney?
yeah, last year I played at the 3s, and then my freshman year I played at the 5s. Literally, they're so important. Like, even though sometimes it can feel like because one is one, it's more important, but they're all equal to 1 point, and it doesn't matter at all where you really end up. But it feels like it comes down more to 3, 4, 5 than it ever has in the past. Especially this past weekend and my first weekend, like it came down to the 3s court, I think about 75% of the time on any of the duels that went 3-2. And I think the 5s is also super important. I don't know. I just am a big believer that the deeper your lineup is, or the most like, I don't know, 3, 4s, and 5s can just get it done. That's how we won Big West. We won at 3, 4s, and 5s. Like our 1s and our 2s didn't win. So you might not have the best top of the lineup, but if you have a good bottom of the lineup, it doesn't matter.
Yep. How about you, Kylie? Thoughts on the 3s through 5s and the significance and importance of their role?
Yeah, I mean, every point is just 1 point every match. And so I feel like in past years, like UCLA last year, Ensley and Natalie were like a lock at the 5s. And I feel like having a lock at the 3s, 4s, 5s is such a big advantage where like when you get into those like tournaments later on, like that's so important. And I feel like especially with 1s and 2s, like there being so little undefeated teams, and like, it just goes back and forth all the time. Like it's so valuable to have a look at those positions.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I also wanted to mention is the AVCA Pair of the Week was announced, and we're going to talk about this team also. Grand Canyon's Corinne Garrow and Sophia Hladnuk, 8-0. First time for them both. They are playing at the 3s, and quite the honor. They're at the Cactus Classic when undefeated. Faced number 20 Stetson, Arizona, Boise State, and number 11 Arizona State. But Grand Canyon has been kind of hanging back since the coaching change last year. I mean, I know it's all within state, moving from Grand Canyon to Arizona State, but there are a lot of girls still left in that team. They're pretty darn talented. But what do you guys know about Grand Canyon? Anyone want to take a stab?
I don't know that much, to be honest. I feel like you said, they kind of have gone a little bit out of the radar since the coach switch. But I think that any team who's able to be 8-0 at the 3s, even playing any of those teams, is something to be reckoned with, like especially, and they deserve that award. So I definitely think that GCU is on the come up, and people need to be ready to play them and not underestimate teams that potentially haven't been the best in the past.
Right.
So
Well, just so everyone knows, I can't remember Kristen's new married name because he officially changed it. It's Kristen Rohr, and she's now the coach at Arizona State. And Abra Rummel has taken over the head coaching job, who's one of the assistants for Krista when she is at Grand Canyon. So it's an interstate battle with a lot of familiar faces. Um, the Grand Canyon heads over to the mid-season Rumble because they are the new folks in the MPSF this season. They'll be facing number 3 USC, number 9 Cal, Oregon, and number 1 UCLA. So it's an easy weekend for Grand Canyon. Not. So, um, any other results catching you guys' eyes that you want to chat about on here as we look on there? There's, like I said, not a whole lot unexpected happened. So,
yeah.
but teams the pairs stayed, a lot of teams that were in the top 10 of each of the flights kept winning. So there wasn't a whole lot of shifting around. There was one team I'll have to say, and it's going to slip my mind, but Kylie was there since it was at that Longhorn Invitational. The ones for Texas A&M, which I need to look up, Corpus Christi, I need to look up here. But they had a phenomenal record this last week, and I believe they're undefeated as well. And then Tulane's ones were really good this year. And I believe Tulane's coming to Hawaii. So I'm going to take a peek at their lineup here really quick because they're one of the teams that are outside, but they're receiving votes at the top 20, as is Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So some really good teams coming towards the islands to take on Sydney's and their beach bows.
Yes. Yeah, it should be exciting. I mean, I feel like we never get to play Tulane, so I'm excited to see. I know a couple girls on that team, so it'll be fun.
Uh-oh. San Diego girls coming out.
Yep.
They are definitely a talented team. And A.L. Zimet, the head coach of the team, is a former Hawaii indoor standout from back in
I
the
didn't
day.
know that. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, wait, don't you go to Hawaii?
Yeah,
No,
I do.
he actually is one of the historic figures. If you follow the indoor men's history, Sydney, you should give him a little shaka. He'll
Sorry,
throw
I'll
right
get on it. My bad.
there. So for Tulane, I'm pulling up the results here, but um, Tulane was at the Longhorn Invitational, and they had a really good showing. Young team. Um, Emily Heitzelman and Kenzie Cutler are the ones at Tulane. And they took a loss to Texas 2-0, but they played really well, a very competitive 2 sets. But the Texas A&M pair that I believe they're still undefeated too. Tess Sponson and Madison Morrow are their names. They're for the Islanders. They just were dominating all weekend at the ones for them, and that was a given point for Corpus Christi at all the duels. So um, let's talk about we were talking about earlier with the 3s through 5s, because one of the teams that I feel like that embodies one of the deepest 3s through 5s is LMU, and we mentioned that last week. Um, We all know that they have an Olympian at the 5s with a very talented underclassman playing with her, but they also went pretty international all throughout, and Chloe Hooker was in that mix. But they continue to take care of business at every single spot. I mean, looking at what they did this last weekend, highest rank ever in program history at number 2, and they beat CSUN 5-0, Washington 5-0, CUI or Concordia, and then their only point loss was to Cal Poly, and that was they lost to Cal Poly's Piper Furch and Aaron Inskeep. So, and that was at the fort once. So, and up next they got Southern Miss, Vanguard, Mercer, and Long Beach State. So I believe that LMU will continue their winning ways with how deep their lineup is. But uh, anything else that we discover about this team in this last week with these wins? Because although they're ranked 2, the only team that's going to be higher than them is UCLA at this point. But the way they played, they dominated in all their duels, it seems like. So I wanted to get your thoughts on LMU. And Kylie, anything you want to drop in there?
I mean, yeah, I feel like across the board they're just super solid. Like they don't really have a weak spot. Like their fives is an Olympian. Like that's not a weak spot or even close to it. And so I feel like they'll continue to be solid this weekend. And I also like UCLA and USC, I feel like those teams did a good job of like solidifying, like they only dropped two sets. I mean two like dual points the whole weekend
Mhm.
against tough teams, which is good for them.
Oh, I just realized as I was pulling up, I guess this was recent news too. It came out in the last few hours. So the player of the week or the pair of the week within WCC, their fours, Anna Polea and Chloe Hooker. So last week that was Juliana Paletta Corrales and Tannen Rosenthal. So it's been an all LMU pair of the weeks so far in the WCC, and I think we're going to continue to see that trend. So, Sydney, anything to add on LMU?
I mean, I just think that it takes a lot of focus and a lot of discipline to be able to 5-0 so many teams back to back. And even playing such a good team like Cal Poly to 4-1 them, I think that it shows, like you said, how deep their lineup is and like how, again, how Kylie said, how they have no weak spots. Like it doesn't show as much against the teams that aren't ranked as high, but like when you play a team like Cal Poly and you're still pulling out a 4-1 against such a high ranked team, that's like super impressive. So I definitely see a lot of big things for LMU this year. I think they're always kind of like silent but deadly a little bit. Like they always make it to Alabama, they always win their conference, like, but nobody like really like gears up about them. But like I really think that they're gonna do some big things this year.
They just reflect their coach. He talks softly but carries a big stick.
Yeah, literally. Like I think they literally won like their what's their conference? I can't even remember the name of it.
WCC?
Yeah. They've won their conference like back to back to back. Like it's crazy.
Oh, he's got a good crew there. A bunch of
Yeah.
transfers in there as we discovered as we looked through the roster this week. Um, let's go towards next week, and you guys have both a pretty full docket this coming weekend. So let's start with you, Kylie. What does Texas do, and who they see this weekend?
We have a really exciting weekend at TCU. We're gonna play FSU and then FAU and then Boise State and TCU.
Any particular matchup you're looking forward to there, creating a rivalry?
Every single one of them I'm excited for.
And then Sydney, Beach Bows are looking to host one on the beach again.
Yep. We are playing USF, Tulane, St. Mary's, and Washington, which should be exciting.
Well, Washington will probably want to bounce back after this last week, dropping in the polls, but they've got to get ready for the the following weekend is East meets West. So they've got to get all dialed in. Looking a couple weeks down the line here. I know you got a chance to look at some of the pairs, but who are some of the top pairs of the week for you guys?
Honestly, I want to shout out
Or athletes? There's awesome
athletes. Yeah,
pairs or particular
do-
athletes.
I think Logan Walter has been doing some really good things for Cal Poly. I played her last year at the fours, and I just have seen like an absurd amount of growth in her ability to compete at such a high level. Like she's not at the bottom of a lineup, she's at the twos, and like I feel like I don't know, she's like a really good athlete for Cal Poly right now. And like with Izzy, she's with Izzy Martinez, and that's like a really solid pair. Like I think it takes a lot to break them as a pair.
Break them as a pair. Look at that. Getting all strong. How about you, Kylie? Who are your top pairs
Well, one of my top pairs
or athletes?
is my teammates, Maddie and Cotton. They I feel like just played super solid throughout the weekend, and even like when the pressure was on, like they had to win the point, they just handled it super well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I,
And then
I'm
I
a
would also say Alexis Durish. We used to play together back in the day. But she, I don't know, undefeated, which is awesome, and had some tough competition. So yeah.
Well, FSU's sneaking up the back there. That's probably one of the lowest they've been ranked to start off the season. But with a young team, the fact they're hanging in the top 10 and still undefeated is a big statement out of the gate. I had to pick one. I probably should have picked this one last week, looking back on our players of the week, Tannen Rosenthal and Juliana Paletti-Corrales, because, one, they're playing really good ball, but two, you got to see the energy on the court of what I've seen on social and the video that's been captured of them competing. I mean, they're both 6 foot, a minimum. And seeing Tannen actually being a defender, like that's a big defender. And who do you serve when you got two giants who have heavy arms?
Mm-hmm.
Pick your poison, so to speak.
Neither. Seam.
Seam.
Please.
Hit that spin serve at 75 miles per hour, Sydney. Get that thing going.
More like 7 miles per hour.
Are there any other news that we skipped out on this week? I know there's a bunch coming up this week. I'm going to drop them at one point here, but is there anything that we need to jump into that you guys caught wind of? Because I know I try to watch everything, but I can't catch everything. So
I'm super excited to see what goes on in the MPSF tournament this weekend.
ooh, the mid-season rumbles, yes, that is going to be that will be pretty without all I can say is gnarly. I mean, it goes gnarly weekend to gnarly weekend. Well, the Queens Duke of Hanamoku was gnarly, and then you took a little break this last weekend, and it's going to get gnarly again to East meets West Manhattan, then East versus West and Texas the following weekend, and then I believe after that is going to be something new. Best of the West in Laguna Beach. Check it out. It is recent to me, and there's a chance that I may be there. Weekend of April 4th, 5th, and 6th. Let me just pull up the website here.
Pull it up.
But they have 8 of the top 10 teams coming to Laguna Beach. I don't know how they pull it off because they can only do like 4 courts, but sorry about that. Probably should have been. Here we go. Best in the West, VB.com. And according to the site, UCLA, LMU, Stanford, USC, Hawaii, Stetson, North Florida, Washington are going to be there 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's at bestinthewestvb.com. Just landed on my radar. Just happened to see it in social, and looks like these teams are coming out. Sydney, you're trying to keep it secret.
Come on. Got to keep it a secret. Or else I'll overbook the place, the stadium, not the stadium, the courts.
So that's definitely one to watch next. Actually, there's a lot to watch these next few weekends. That is going to be insane. But with that, wanted to see if there was a particular, I know we did an athlete of the week, but who has really been shining early into this season so far? One athlete that has really been grabbing your attention. Oh, that stank face by Sydney. She's thinking hard. I'll throw one down there. Perry Brennan.
You always pick that one. You have to pick somebody new.
Yeah.
Not fair.
Well,
you have to pick somebody new. Sorry, Perry.
I already gave mine of Alexis Durish.
Okay, that's fair enough. I want to see some Hawaii girls getting on that list, but you know what? Who we've skipped out on this season, I haven't mentioned a lot of, is Malia Gementera. Oh,
From Long Beach?
Yeah.
We talked about her last time for so long.
Oh, that's right. I picked her as my athlete of the week.
Yes, you did. You can't even remember.
Well, there's so many great defenders this season. That's why.
You know what? I'm going to go Piper Furch. I haven't seen her play, but she's always amazing and so consistent. And half the stuff she does, I'm like, I don't even know how you do that. Please teach me. But yeah, that's who I'm going to go with.
She's fiery. So Week of action, check out collegebeachvb.com. They've got their schedules updated. Unfortunately, NCAA does not. We've found out the hard way. We're wondering what's happening there. A lot of us who covered the game, but there are a lot of duels, matches coming up here this weekend. It's Kylie Wickley of Texas, Sydney Miller of Hawaii. Best of luck this weekend. I'll be watching from afar. And you said this weekend is on ESPN Plus, Sydney?
No, our senior weekend. So that's
Oh,
when we'll have
senior
to
weekend.
play. Yeah.
Okay. And we know Kylie's is, you guys are, does TCU stream?
They do on like random Instagram account lives.
I think it's TCU Beach Stream 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think is what it is.
There
If
you
you want.
go.
But they have to approve you.
No
So,
weirdos can watch.
but Lays, I appreciate your,
Bring up is FSU is using the FIVB Mikasas and not the Wilsons that are the NCAA mandated ones.
any
Weird.
insight as to how that was being allowed?
I heard that they got like a deal where they got the balls for free. Don't quote me on that if it's not true. But it's basically like Long Beach State indoor, they don't use the same balls that all other teams do, and you only have to use the NCAA Wilsons for the tournament. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Is there a big difference between that FIVB ball and the Wilson?
Yes.
Noticeable?
Noticeable. It took me
Huge
almost a
difference.
week to like it bounces off your platform way more. It's way like lighter. So you can also like kind of grip it more when you set. But yeah, no huge difference. I literally was like a 1-star passer when I first started using the ball.
But you're a blocker, so that's okay. We understand. That's part of the reason.
No, I get served, so it's not okay. I'm like, oh, please. It's the only thing I can do is pass, stop, just work, bounce off my platform, please.
Well, Long Beach State was using the Baden, the volleyballs indoor and beach for a few years. I don't know if they still do now. I think because of NCAA men's, they have to use the red, white, and blue Moltons. But I did not know that about the Mikasa. I have a connection at Mikasa. I'll have to ask that person. So that's a great topic to bring up. I'm going to have to follow up on that in the next episode. And so during duels at FSU, like at the FSU beach match, they're playing with Mikasas.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I wonder if someone's going to protest potentially. Oh,
Maybe. Who
wow.
knows?
Interesting. Well, with that, that concludes episode 2, week 2 recap of College Volleyball Weekly, Beach Top 20. That's Kylie Wickley of Texas and Sydney Miller of Hawaii. Appreciate your time, ladies, and best of luck this week.
Thank you.
We do Marilu's MPSF Memo. Just a quick touch each week. We're going to add to the end of each episode. And I'm totally thankful I get to chat with you weekly about it because I just realized I'm going to be working the MPSF Beach Championships this year too. So you can give me some
That's
insight.
awesome. Yeah. No, yeah,
Um,
I'm so thankful to be here too.
But I mean, it's just you're a great personality for the game, and I think you'd be wonderful to share what's going on. So I thought we're week 2 into the season, based on what you've seen in the MPSF, what's your breakdown so far?
Yeah. I mean, wow, week 1, the Hawaii tournament that was crazy. It was upset after upset. I think, as you said before, we saw LMU really bloom during that tournament. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of upsets this year. I think as years go by, teams just get better and better, and it's more and more neck to neck to neck.
Mhm.
Like throughout all of beach volleyball history, I feel like the NCAA, USC, UCLA combination has been like, obviously they're going to be in the finals, but now I think it's anyone's ball game, truly.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, that we've already seen some big upsets. LMU's first ever program win over USC.
Hmm.
UCLA, I think they just weren't given the respect in the preseason poll,
I
but
agree. I agree.
here
No,
they are,
yeah,
number
they're
one.
so strong. They are so strong. I was surprised that they were ranked like, what was it, like fourth or fifth? The
Yeah, they
first.
came in like a third or fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised at that, but no, yeah, they are so strong and yeah, they're terminal. They're gonna be very good this year. There's a lot of teams that are so good, but again, yeah, it's everyone's game.
Yeah.
Anyone's game. Yeah.
It's a unique year because Pac-12 no longer in existence for beach
Hmm.
volleyball.
Hmm.
All the teams have moved into the MPSF, which
Right.
is season one. That's going to be USC, UCLA, Cal, Stanford, Oregon, Washington, and Grand Canyon. So that's 7 teams. They grow to 11 already next year by adding on some real easy teams: LSU, Florida State, South Carolina, and if you think about Texas is 9-0 right now in week 2. So it's going to be quite the brawl. There's only what
Yeah.
9 weeks in the season anyways.
No, yeah. Yeah, I mean, thinking back to Pac-12 and even this year's MPSF, it feels like we're already at NCAA's. Like we're dealing with the big dogs. And I think it speaks highly into our area, even though next year it's extending to more East Coast teams. But yeah, we breed a lot of killer athletes here in California. So, yeah.
Well, it'll be fun chatting with you about the MPSF as in these upcoming weeks, and looking forward to what you have to say and have your insights, especially since coming up this weekend for you guys is the MPSF mid-season Rumble,
Yep,
which you've
that's right.
shared with me is going to be at Stanford. What should
Uh-huh.
we expect to see there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I think I feel very positive about the outcomes of the tournament for our team. So I'm really excited to see exactly where we stand with yeah, GCU, USC, UCLA, and Stanford. Yeah, very well respected teams, and I can't wait to compete with them. It'll
Well,
be great
X.
games. Yeah.
It'll be do you know if it's gonna be streamed this weekend by chance?
I do not think it'll be streamed, but
Okay.
yeah, you'd have to double check I'll
I
double check with
I
Megan.
was thinking maybe you had an inside connection because I didn't see any stream links on
I don't,
any of the
yeah, I don't,
schedules.
yeah, unfortunately, but there will be recordings for sure.
Yeah. Well, again, this is Marilu Pally, 6-foot blocker, junior from Santa Cruz, California. So we'll be jumping on CVW with Marilu's MPSF memo. So, Marilu, appreciate your time tonight, and I look
Thank
forward to
you so
chatting
much
with
for
you
having me.
in
Yeah,
the upcoming weeks.
yeah.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Espero at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.